Saturday, June 15th, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I've got a Maneco 64 baseball cap or golf cap. How did I get it? Well, about 10 days ago, for some reason I Googled Maneco 64 and I found this page with all these products with my name on it, my thumbnail, Billy, and I wasn't very happy. So I waited until this Monday, to call them. They're based in London, so they had a phone number there to call. And actually, I spoke to one of the managers there, and he was very nice. And he actually said that they're doing the same for a lot of the big YouTube channels in the UK, and they were going to call me to propose a deal. Apparently, his boss loves watching my channel. He wants me to go and meet them to talk about what's going on in the system. Maybe I will go sometime this summer. They're not far away from where I live. And then they said, why don't you choose one of these, and we'll do a sample for you, see if you like it, and then we can go ahead. So the products are not ready yet. They're working on it. I should have a link to the shop soon. It will be cheaper, of course, for my UK viewers because it's shipped from the UK, but I still have the Teespring store. So yeah, I received this a couple of days ago. The quality is good. I'm gonna wear it tomorrow when I play golf. So yeah, I called the guy back and said, yeah, go ahead with it. So that's how I got the Maneco 64 baseball cap. Today I want to talk about value and how fiat currency over the long term is a very bad store of value. And I think to explain why that is so, I recommend this book here, What Has Government Done to Our Money? And I've recommended this many times, but a lot of times you get new viewers, new subscribers, and I have to keep going back to one of the main reasons why I personally, if I'm fortunate enough to be able to save some of the value that I create, some of the labor that I've done throughout my life, if I can exchange that surplus value into precious metals, I do it. And I think this book explains very well why that is so and why fiat currencies always lose their value over the long term. They always go to zero. Yes, the dollar index might go up this week or down next week, but I will show you with some charts here that you need to wake up. I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but that's, from the work and research I've done, this is what it seems to be happening. Paper money or irredeemable fiat currency or credit money, whatever you want to call it, loses its value over time. And precious metals, gold and silver especially, they have held their purchasing power throughout the ages. There's an old adage or an old saying that if you had an ounce of gold back in Roman times, you could buy very nice toga and a nice pair of sandals in Rome. And nowadays, you should be able to buy a nice suit and a nice pair of shoes. And you probably can, maybe not, not at Savile Row in London. You would need more than 1 ounce of gold. But again, I think gold and silver are massively undervalued against the paper currencies. And I think that will change. It is frustrating the way some of the markets move, but over time, value will reassert itself. So highly recommend this book. Murray Rothbard of the Austrian School. I guess one thing I would say, if someone asked me what I really learned about this book, is that you have to go back to like a primitive society where people barter, and because that's where exchange starts, when people barter. And unless you have something of value to barter for something of value, that other person, that other counterparty will say, no, no way. So that's the most important thing, is the value. So why does, in a nutshell, why does paper money, irredeemable currency, not hold its value? Well, because it is a construct of the state, and it's a legal entity, it's a monopoly, and power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And even though paper currency has its pluses, for exchange it's very good. The problem with it is that politicians, bankers abuse it, and they create too much of it. And that's what it's about. It's the law of supply and demand. Gold and silver have to be dug out of the ground. Not easy to get hold of gold and silver. Paper money, the bankers just create it out of thin air on a keyboard nowadays. So now I want to look at some charts. First of all, I'm going to look at the dollar index, because a lot of people, in my opinion, need to realize that the dollar index hasn't really gone anywhere since it was created. And it was created here, as you can see on Wikipedia. USDX started in March 1973, soon after the dismantling of the Bretton Woods system. At its start, the value of the dollar index was 100. So that's March. It was 100. And why did they start measuring the dollar like this against other currencies? Well, because in 1973, it'd been 2 years since Nixon closed the gold window, and the monetary authorities realized that you couldn't have fixed exchange rate in a purely fiat currency, irredeemable system. And that's what you've had. And as you can see here by the chart of the dollar index, they have it prior to 73, because you can still calculate it back, if you use the other currencies. You can see, though, that since 1973, so that's about 46 years now, we're almost back where we started at 100. So if you think the dollar index is a good hedge against currency debasement, you need to think twice. It's a good hedge against other fiat currencies that are being debased. So that's what I wanted to point out. And that's why physical gold, or gold, is the best hedge for currency debasement, especially fiat currency debasement. Because if you go back to 1973, gold was trading around $100, and before that, in 1971, it was at $35 an ounce, right? And you can see here the dollar index has gone nowhere, but look at gold. Even in dollars, it's gone from 35 to 1341 now. So you tell me what's the best way to hedge against fiat currency debasement? Well, it's precious metals, at least monetarily. I'm not talking about investments in companies. I'm talking about monetarily, saving. So that's the dollar versus gold. And I want to look at some other currencies. Some people might say, oh, what about the Swiss franc? The Swiss franc is a very hard currency. It's a good currency. Well, look at XAU CHF, and I've only got it back going back to 2007. But you can still see we've gone from 700 francs roughly to 1340. Let's look at some other currencies here that my viewers would be interested in. Let's look at the Aussie dollar. Gold is making new highs here against the Aussie dollar. 1952. So we are in 2007. It was trading around 800. So yeah, it's protected Australian savers very well. So no argument there. What about the Canadian dollar? Same thing, Canadian dollar. We are near the all-time highs here, just below 1800. And we've gone from about 600 just over 10 years ago or 11 years ago. That's the Canadian dollar. And now to the British pound, XAU GBP. So here we are, same thing here. We are very near the all-time high. And I want to the all-time high was just below 1200 in 2011. This week we're breaking out. We had a little bit of a sell-off late yesterday in gold, but we had a sell-off earlier in the week. The week prior to last week, gold closed around 1340. We opened the week, they slammed it down about $20, and it's come back. Yesterday it made a new high for the year at 1358. Yes, it corrected back down. It's frustrating, but over the long term, as you can see, it's the best, how can I say, store of value versus fiat currency debasement. I want to focus also on the pound a little more. So you can see here in this chart, cable going back to the late 80s. We are at some key levels here. You can see that there's a big overhead resistance here with the lows from 1993, 2001, and 2009 in cable. It's just above 130. Is it any wonder that it's been hard to stay above that 130 level? And now below here, we've got, we are right near support. I think 125 will be a key level here. And you can see there, there's a low from 2000, I think it's early 2017 or late 2016 there. It's around 117. I think I remember that. I think it was late 2016. I remember it was overnight in Asia. The pound dropped very sharply. So that's the next level. So now I want to show you a chart from the Bank of England, because I couldn't go as far back with the other chart of the British pound to show you the key level below for the pound against the dollar, and that's 104.20. That was the all-time low for the pound in February of 1985, and this is from the Bank of England. So the other piece of information I wanted to show you about the pound, British pound, and gold and the dollar as it relates to that 104 low is the price of gold back in February 26, 1985. As you can see here, the AM fix was 270 pounds and the PM was 274. So yes, the pound has gone up a little bit against the dollar since then, from 104 to 125 where we're now, over, let's say, 34 years. Yes, the pound has been higher at 211 back in 2007. But what about gold? Well, gold has gone from around 275 or 270 to 1,070 or 1,065 where we're now. So you tell me, what's the best hedge against currency debasement? Having dollars or having gold or having pounds as well? So don't be fooled. All these fiat currencies are sinking. The dollar, if the dollar collapses, all the other currencies are going to collapse. And you might ask, how can the dollar collapse if the other currencies are collapsing? Well, what I mean is against the currencies that have held value and are not political currencies, and those are the monetary metals, and that's what I mean. So don't look for the dollar to have a complete collapse against the other fiat currencies, or if it does have a mini collapse, the collapse will be even bigger against precious metals. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Make sure you also hit the little notification bell above to be notified of my new videos. Share my videos far and wide if you think other people would enjoy this content. And before I go today, I'd like to say that Lynette Zhang from ITM Trading is going to be interviewing me next month. I will let you know the date. I'm looking forward to that. And I wish you all a great weekend. Take care. Bye.